Chavez to do the pledge.
Good.
Okay, are we ready?
Just one moment. We're just waiting on confirmation. Linda, are we streaming yet?
I turned it on, but it still says we are offline. So gonna triple check.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, sir, we're live.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, Commissioner Johnson, we're live when you're ready to go.
Okay, calling order to the work session for January the 3rd, 2020. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Here.
Johnson,
Present.
Jackson, Young,
Present.
Burrell,
Here.
Jones,
Here.
Gage Watts,
Present.
Taliaferro,
Yes, sir.
Atkins,
Here.
Chavez,
Here.
Lazarus,
Here.
and Epperson.
Here.
All right, we have 11 of 12 commissioners present. That is a quorum.
Okay, I'll ask that Commissioner Burrell do the invocation and Commissioner Chavez will do our pledge of allegiance.
Okay, bow your heads, please. Lord, we want to take this opportunity to thank you for another year, 2022. We've had a lot of challenges in 2021, and many of us did not make it to see this year. Bless us, oh Lord, it's only through your grace that we are here. And we are here present to do the will of the people of Caddo. Bless us, oh Lord, that we would also do things proper and in order. All these blessings in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If everyone please stand. Military veterans prior service may render a hand to brow salute. Everybody else, put your right hand over your heart. Repeat after me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Burrell and Commissioner Chavez. Next item, Ms. Clerk.
And just as an FYI, while y'all were doing the pledge, Commissioner Jackson also joined the line. So you now have 12 commissioners present. That brings us to agenda additions, where the first item is a motion to approve consideration of items under Louisiana Revised Statutes 42:17.1.
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Burrell, second by the chair. Roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Gage Watts,
Yes.
Commissioner Taliaferro,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Epperson.
Yes.
That motion carries with 12 of 12 in support. And that at this point, I will highlight your certificate of teleconference is attached. There's no action required on that, but that is where it's found in case you need it. And that brings us to citizens' comments for teleconference. Now, it's been a minute since we've been by teleconference, so I'll just remind everybody that when we post the agendas, it has instructions for how to participate in the meeting regarding public comments. And so people are asked to either submit emails, which will be read, or submit comments electronically that will be read during the meeting, or call in during the meeting. I realize sometimes commissioners also may invite people to make comments. So we may have some people that are here in that respect as well. But what we'll do is we'll give that phone number out. And then, Mr. President, if you would like, I can go ahead and read those comments that we've received electronically. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the phone number to call in for public comments is 318-226 6596. Again, that is 318-226-6596. And that number is on the agenda on this section on the electronic agenda as well. Again, that number is 318-226-6596. We have received two public comments electronically, and if you're ready, I'll go ahead and read them.
Go ahead.
Okay. The first comes from Jill Brown, who says, after having almost an entire year, here we are fighting for our property rights, even as HB 697 was passed. You all put together an advisory board that you chose, and after their hard work, you have decided to ignore their recommendations. Please know that by doing so, that looks bad on you. The people have spoken over and over again, and you continue to ignore your constituents. Again, looks bad on you. Let me make myself clear. We do not want the MPC, UDC, master plan, 5-member appointed board that can't be held accountable. We moved to the country for a reason. And the next comment comes from Mr. David Brown, who says, I'm sick and tired of the government trying to tell us how we can and can't live outside the city limits in Caddo Parish. We live out here for a reason, not so that someone behind a desk can tell me where I can park in my yard, how many chickens I can have, and that they have to be a concrete slab. They are yard birds, for Christ's sakes. How to fix my fence or plant a dang tree. Stop the government overreach and give us what we want. No MPC or UDC, no 5-member appointed boards. Let us just live our simple lives. And those are the two comments that we received electronically. Linda, do we have any callers at this time?
Yes, sir. There's two callers.
Okay. Did you want to go ahead and connect the first caller?
Yes. Hello, Ms. Carla. Hi. Okay. You have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name for the record and then continue with your comment. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Carla Collins. I'm at 2829 Sycamore Street in Shreveport, Louisiana. Can everyone hear me? This is kind of weird calling.
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you great. Thank you.
Yes, they can hear you, Carla. Please continue.
Okay. So the reason why I chose to come and speak today was in regards to the rental crisis that is happening in Shreveport. Myself personally, with my sister, Rita Peoples, have been out, feet on the ground, assisting those persons, primarily in the Woodland Terrace apartments, with everything that's been going on. I don't know how anyone on the panel could have missed it. So let me advise you, there are still ongoing issues and situations. With that being said, I have reviewed the information because I have been working directly with Commissioner Jackson, as well as Lyndon Johnson, and I had a conversation with Stefan Jones regarding the situation. And and I know about the mitigation attorneys. With that being said, we are dealing with persons who have very limited ability to move around the city of Shreveport, even with the 2022 free bus rides, because we have persons who are single parents and cannot afford to leave their children at home unattended. With that being said, I do understand we have the mitigation attorney, so I'm asking everyone that is assisting with the emergency rental assistance program to meet the people where they are. And by that, if they are not able to go and seek help, I think it's time for the people who we voted in to go and seek the help. And with that being said, I think we need more feet on the ground, not for the cameras, but literally to actually help. I understand the new implementation that wants to put in place for the $1,200 per family. I appreciate that, but I'm telling you firsthand, with being out there with the people, more is needed, because that's an average of only 60 families. Although that amount is great, and I understand you guys may feel like you're doing, something good, and you are. I'm not knocking anyone for that. I'm just letting you know more is needed. In addition to that, the monies that were received at these deplorable locations, that needs to be investigated, because some persons, a lot of them, or as being advised that they are behind on their rent payments, And I personally have seen the ledger where they are actually not, because the ERAT actually paid them up. Most recently, for the month of December, they were trying to evict them for non-payment of rent when they actually got their money in December. So asking you all to help me help them, help me help you while you guys help them, because it's an everybody issue. It's not just people in, the person with Lund Terrace. It's not just the person that's off the Cooper Road, nor in the apartments that's next to St. Vincent. This is a Shreveport. If we are Caddo, if we are Shreveport, everyone needs to be included on this.
Okay, Ms. Carla, your time is up.
Mm-hmm.
Right, thank you. All right, I have one more caller.
Thank you. If you'll go ahead and connect them, Linda.
Mr. Lester, are you still there?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Great, you have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name for the record and then continue with your comment. Go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. My name is Calvin Lester. My address is 3907 Ed Place, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. I am calling on behalf of my organization, Grace Project. I want to thank the commission for giving me an opportunity to speak. I'll be really brief. On last year, we, Grace Project, and I believe 2 other organizations responded to the RFP for the American Recovery Act, and we submitted an application for a revitalization program in the community in Caddo Parish. We requested $1 million, and we were excited to get the support of the commission. You don't always get what you want, but we were very excited to get 60% of what we requested from the commission. We have not gotten a commitment letter, and in talking to several other of the program participants in other areas who were at the meeting that similarly came before the commission, they have received their commitment letters, and the 3 organizations that responded relative to doing affordable housing in the community have not received it. And so our request was just that we would get our commitment letters. We again thank the commission for their kind support of our efforts for revitalization of our community. We think that getting our commitment letters will help us move forward toward getting our cooperative endeavor agreement, and more specifically moving forward on these projects. I think that if given the opportunity to move forward, we can resolve some of these issues like the previous caller had. As we know, Caddo Parish has a deficit of about 10,000 affordable housing units. And certainly from our perspective, we're looking to take properties that were dilapidated and adjudicated and put them back on the tax roll. So not only can we help with affordable housing, but we can deal with things like blight and disrepair for some of our neighborhoods. And so we're just asking that the legislation that's being put forward by Commissioner Jackson be approved, and that we could get our direct appropriations and commitment letters so we can move forward with our different and various projects. Thank you very much for your time. And again, we would be remiss if we didn't thank the commission for their continued support for organizations like ours that are out here doing things for the community in the area of affordable housing. Thank you very much.
All right, there are no more callers on the line, Mr. Everson.
Okay, thank you very much. And I know we have a number of guests on the line. I wasn't sure if there was anybody else that any of the commissioners were anticipating they would have to speak at this point. If so, please speak up. Okay. If not, then we'll move along to visitors. We have no scheduled visitors on the agenda today. And that'll take us to old business, where we also have no old business scheduled for today. We do have quite a few items under new business. So
question, Jeff, before you go forward, I would like to ask Mr. Chairman, on the visitors, weren't we supposed to have somebody from Red River Waterway today, or they did not respond?
We did not hear from them for today's meeting, but I will follow back up with them and see. Would you like to try to have them at the next work session, or would you like me to see if I can try to get them on a Thursday's meeting?
Well, our new president, he sent an email out, and I know he wanted to hear from them as well as Commissioner Mario. They had made a request, and so I sent an email back saying that we could have them at this meeting, but since we cannot, we may want to ask them, why don't we just forego this, and we'll just ask the new president, when does he want them there?
Okay.
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
I will send an email to schedule that and see if we can't get them on one of the next few agendas. So thank you for mentioning that. And let's see, if there's nothing else, I'll move along to new business. The first item we have there today is to authorize the introduction of ordinance number 6155 of 2022. That's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund in the amount of $5,000 to provide an additional appropriation for the Delta Upsilon Lambda Foundation and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. This is for a recommendation from the Economic Development Committee.
So move. Do we have to move? We have to move it, Mr. Chairman.
Been moved by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Atkins, to advance ordinance number 6155 of 2022. Commissioner Burrell, you want to speak to that?
Mr. Chairman, this was a recommendation that came out of the Economic Development Committee. This particular foundation had submitted a request, and these additional $5,000 would go toward their program, a mentorship program that has a 100% graduation rate on at-risk kids.
I'd like to make a substitute motion to englobo and advance ordinance number 6155 of 2022, 6157 of 2022, 6156 of 2022, 6158 of 2022, 6159 of 2022, 6160 of 2022, 6161 of 2022, 6162 of 2022, 6163 of 2022, 6164 of 2022,
Getting
60. Well, the next one is a new deal, so stop there.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
It was moved by the chair, second by, I think it was Commissioner Epperson, I heard last.
I thought I heard Commissioner Burrell. Was that
Okay.
That's fine.
Commissioner Gay.
Okay.
So just to restate that, for anyone who may have not caught all the numbers, I believe we're looking at, let's see, 61, 55, 56, 57, 58, and then 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64. So that's 6155 through 6164.
6163. It stopped at 64. But that's, well, no, 64, that's right. That's
Yes.
right. Okay.
And that's to englobo in advance. Okay.
Yes. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I just was curious on, I have a couple of questions. I see where the 6162, has that been dropped from 300 to 100? And if so, is it still going to be parish wide, or is it going to be cut back? Because I think the original agreement was 300, and it looked like being dropped.
The original,
to 100.
the original was 100.
Okay.
And at that time it had Southwood, but this 100,000 is for the parish.
Okay. I don't know where I got 300 from then. Okay. And then on the 6164, this is the one for juvenile detention. I had talked to some of the parish administration staff. So Dr. Wilson and Mrs. Bryant, if I could, continue to have a conversation with you all offline about as we go to our final passage. I think the resources are greatly needed, but I think there's some discussion about what would be temporary versus what would be permanent. Because I don't think I know clearly from what we're seeing is there's a permanent need for some things with regard to juvenile services. And so just want to make sure that I can get with y'all prior to final adoption, Dr. Wilson and Ms. Bryant, so that we could flesh out. I like to because I think that there are some ideas that can probably be had about how to approach some of the more permanent things that need to be achieved over at juvenile, if you understand what I'm saying. I think part of it was for a social worker or something like that. So
yes, sir. I'll be glad to have a conversation with you. Yeah,
because I think the administration was advocating not for permanent or more of a contractual thing, but
yes, sir. That was based on our prior conversation we've had with the leadership at Juvenile Center. They wanted us to provide one level service. We concurred with that. Mm-hmm. And now coming full circle is changing again.
Well, I can see, at least from my perspective, but I realize I'm not the only perspective on it. And so, if they're willing to, my position was if there's willing to be some cost sharing from some funds that they may have self-derived and things like that, then we may, hopefully there's an open mind about it. So, and I know in the past, they haven't always been open to using some of these sort of discretionary funds that they derive over at the court, but hopefully that there's an opportunity to have that conversation.
Yes, sir, we will. We had that with you.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Chavez.
Thank you, President. I was sent actually a lot of questions from a constituent in my district, and I'm trying to read these respective of this in Globo. So I'm going to read the three of these, and to make it convenient, I will email each question to the respective author to get the questions answered on Thursday. So I'll just start. Ordinance 6159 of 2022. Is this a new endeavor at a cost of some now 10K versus 20K originally? What impact will it have? And do we know there will be any impact with COVID and her variants ever rearing their ugly heads? Have a wonderful and glorious Happy New Year. Ordinance 6161 of 2022. What is the Red G Enterprises and what specifically are they to provide for the citizens of Caddo Parish? And last, Ordinance 6162 of 2022. Why any consideration at all since Caddo already has agreements with more than 20 mental health agencies? So like I said, President, I'll email each one of these to the respective author, and then we can get these answered for the constituent that wasn't able to call in today on Thursday. Thank you.
All right.
Point of
seeing no one else.
Oh, I'm trying to I got to get back into
Commissioner Watts.
Yes, I just had a question about some of the items that Commissioner Jackson was referring to for juvenile court. Are these things that you are referencing? Are these some of the things that we have discussed in committee? Or are these new items?
Oh, I don't know. I've been having some conversations. So I don't know if they've been discussed or not. I hadn't had a chance to attend one.
There'll be new items, Commissioner Gage Watts.
Yeah, I think that would be more Dr. Wilson that's talking about.
Yes.
Something
new.
We've discussed some of it in committee, Commissioner. It's just that we discussed more contract and they're looking at maybe more permanent arrangements. So it's just whether or not what they want to adjust to before we sign agreements. So obviously we be signing agreements with all the organizations. So these ones that are on here for juvenile, for Red G, for C-Links, these are items you all had already passed in your 2021 budget. But when we submitted the 2022 budget, those amounts, because of the timing of when we passed it and when we presented the 2022, we couldn't incorporate those items. But these items had already been approved by the commission.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson, you back on the board?
Yes, I just wanted to follow up. I know we took these in Globo, but 6159 is actually a decrease. So to whomever that is, Commissioner Chavez, let them know this is reducing this from 20,000 to 10,000. So, and it's actually budget neutral to be able to provide some funding for some other organizations. So it's budget neutral, and I don't know, it went through the Economic Development Committee. So I know they're in my district. The organization is in my district. I'm willing to support at some level, but I don't know that we've ever supported any new endeavor right off the bat at 20,000. So this is kind of just budget neutral, and it moved 10,000. It moved 5,000 to Friends in Unity and another 5,000 to Dress for Success. So
Thank you for that explanation. Well, I'll save that one. I'm sure she's watching. Thank you, Commissioner. Thanks, President.
thanks, Mr. President.
All right. Seeing no one else, roll call.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Gage Watts,
Yes.
Commissioner Talaferro. I couldn't hear you, Commissioner Talaferro. Commissioner Atkins.
Yes, Jeff, if you called me.
I did, thank you. Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Epperson.
Yes.
Okay, and Commissioner Talaferro, I did not hear you if you responded.
That's
but-
all right. I'm sorry, Jeff. I had to take care of an issue here. Yes.
Great. Okay, so that motion carries with 12 of 12. And so that brings us a little further down the agenda to 8.11, which is to authorize the introduction of ordinance number 6165 of 2022. That's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the E. Edward Jones Housing Trust Fund to provide an appropriation for ERAP housing quality inspections and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move to introduce.
Second.
Second. And moved by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Jackson, want to speak to your motion?
Yes, this is a ordinance that will basically provide from ERAP dollars. We should be getting a new allocation of ERAP dollars. My understanding from Gina Campo, and I don't know if they've communicated how much has been communicated to the parish staff. It should be in the tune of somewhere between 10, maybe 15, as high as $20 million. And so this will be a new allocation. It's coming from a reallocation. I had that conversation on December 15th. As you all know, the Louisiana Housing Corporation, Jeff, I'm getting 2 text messages saying that folks who are listening online can't hear anything. So just wanted to drop that out there to y'all. But as you all know, the Louisiana Housing Corporation is actually the state entity that is basically overseeing the ERAP 1 allocation in dollars. And so there was a request that was made to the Treasury Department to reallocate the unused state portion of those dollars to local governments. As of today, I believe 7 of those requests have been approved. Not sure specifically which one of those 7. I'll have more information very soon about which of those 7, but 7 of those allocation requests have been approved to go to local government units. But it will give us an opportunity to not have a situation like we have had unfold at a Woodlawn Terrace. We heard one of the callers talk about the situation that's unfolded there, and the inspections it's not an inspection like you're about to buy a house. It's simply saying that if someone makes a complaint about the quality or about the standard and conditions of the housing that they're living in, that an inspector could be retained and a inspection could be done to make sure that we're not paying for a situation where you have mold, mildew, rats, poor plumbing and things of that nature. And yes, the Treasury Department does allow for dollars to be utilized to move that person to another safe and sanitary location. Spent a lot of money at Woodlawn Terrace, and I'm going to ask the parish administration to get the exact dollar figure, but my understanding it was north of $300,000, maybe more. And those are dollars that went to Woodlawn Terrace to yes, pay for back rent, and some pay for forward rent. But now we're having to spend more money to relocate those individuals when the dollars that went to them could have been used to be for relocation. And so this is an opportunity to get it right with a new pot of monies that will become available. When those dollars become available, it will basically reimburse the Housing Trust Fund back. Thank you.
I guess questions I have on that is, there's two types of ERAP money, ERAP 1 and ERAP 2. One of them covers relocation, the other one doesn't. And currently the parish doesn't have any of the ERAP money that covers relocation. And then when you talk about, so that if there is a place where there's mold, mildew, and all that, from my understanding, from just dealing with people who have been trying to help people in Woodlawn Terrace, there is a pretty much like a lengthy process in order to move from one location to another. And to hold up their rent, would they end up getting an eviction notice at that point in time because no rent has been paid? So it's something we got to think about and kind of keep it mid-ground to what is going to actually help the people instead of hurt them. So,
well, again,
if the money's there, I mean, I'm fine with it. It's just that we got to make sure we're talking about the right ERAP money.
Well, let me just be clear. Both ERAP programs allow for relocation assistance. One ERAP program allows for relocation assistance related to COVID-19, and one of the ERAP allows for relocation assistance not to be allowed for if it's not related to COVID-19. So that's a process that has to be stood up, established. But I have the Treasury guidelines sitting in front of me, and FAQ number 7 for ERAP 1 clearly allows for relocation assistance to be provided.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yeah, my one question is who will be qualified to do these inspections, and how will that be determined?
Todd, my original thought when this was a year ago, probably today, it was in the original proposal to do it. The Housing Authority is contracted right now to the parish to help administer this program. The Housing Authority had initially agreed to do the inspections. And so I don't see why we just wouldn't basically enter into an agreement or amend the agreement that we have with the Housing Authority. They have inspectors, they're already attached to the program, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Commissioner Chavez.
You're still on mute.
Thank you, Doc. I'm on the agenda and I see the two documents under the PDF, but I know typically Commissioner Jackson has like the fact sheet. I don't see one on here for like the details, kind of like the details that Commissioner Hopkins asking, but I've got a couple other questions like what's the threshold of the income? Do you think before Thursday, Commissioner Jackson, we could have a fact sheet put on here to answer all these questions?
I won't have one for this one because it's a part of an unestablished program. So you would have to qualify whatever the income guidelines are for receiving ERAP assistance would be the ERAP. I mean, the person would basically go through the application and go through the process. They would have to report to us that there's an issue. We wouldn't be out actively going out, similar to the spay and neuter deal. It would have to be reported to us that there's an issue out there. And then from that point, the Housing Authority or whomever, I don't want to assume that it's the Housing Authority. I would think that it would be the Housing Authority, or there may be some inspectors who could come and do it. I don't know. But that entity or organization or person would go out, do the inspection, and then from that point, that's when the parish would be able to have a conversation with either the tenant or the owner about what's going on.
I got you. Okay,
As
thank you for,
opposed to on the back end, like we're seeing now with Woodlawn Terrace.
got it. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Commissioner.
Hey, Commissioner
Commissioner
Johnson.
Jackson, the document that you have, if you could forward that to me as well, because I've been trying to get some relocation assistance and I've been told something totally different. So I would like to see that as well.
Yeah, I'll see it to the clerk.
Okay. Commissioner Hopkins, you back on the board? Okay, seeing no one else. Roll
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Hey, I just wanted to share a point of view on this subject, sir.
Okay.
The only thing I'm concerned about is when we get into a situation where we encounter a substandard condition, the majority of the people that find themselves in this position have to be in a position to qualify to move into another dwelling. In most cases, some of the folks we're helping are unemployed, and it's hard to gain a new residence if you cannot qualify for employment, because that's one of the criteria to be able to get an apartment, a relocation somewhere else. That's been the major issue why a lot of the people at Woodlawn Terrace have not moved out expeditiously towards finding another place. They have to have a job and an income to sustain that, because this program would one day go away. And that's what concerned me. It's not going to be the panacea for what ills of Woodlawn Terrace, but certainly it may be a help. But just be cautious of the fact that people will still have to qualify to gain new residents somewhere else, and that usually starts with a job.
Mr.
Yes,
President, Woody, that's if there are some housing advocates that are blowing my text, that is incorrect. Okay, all right. There's permanent supportive housing. There's supportive housing. There are all types of housing. We're not asking for anybody to change anything, but to say that a lot of those individuals don't have jobs, one, it's offensive.
No, I'm saying you have to have employment again to be able to move into a different apartment.
And a lot of those people do have a lot of those folks do have employment. The vast majority of them, most of them are maybe have a disability and cannot work. So just to assume that they're unemployed. So I would hope that we wouldn't have to do this type of conversation here.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the board? Don't see anyone. Roll call.
All right, Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Gage Watts,
Yes.
Commissioner Talaferro,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes,
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Epperson.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries with 12 out of 12 in support. And that brings us to our next item, which is to authorize the introduction of ordinance number 6166 of 2022. That's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the E. Edward Jones Housing Trust Fund to roll over an existing 2021 appropriation for eviction mitigation into the 2022 budget and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move to advance or move to yes, advance.
Second.
Then moved by Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Atkins to advance ordinance 6166 of 2022.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson, you want to speak to that motion?
Yes, Mr. President, I don't know that this is actually, this is not new money, and finance can correct me if I'm wrong, or legal can. This is basically from the monies that we've already approved. We would be authorizing some usage for marketing and advertising. So from that pool of dollars that we already have, I talked to 2 of the 3 attorneys, and 2 of them have said that they really feel like the program could be better used. I'm also going to try to set up something with, see if I can get Professor Obear from Southern University's Law Center. They are working with the state as well as USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, on an eviction mitigation where they are literally going into towns, locations, and communities, and they're setting up rental eviction moratoriums, eviction mitigation opportunities. This is, and what they're also doing is they're also doing mediation. But part of it is that they're going to be doing marketing. And I think we're just kind of depending on folks to go to the website or to know about it. And a lot of people simply either don't have the means to know about it or not sure about how to get access to it. So this is not providing any new funding. This is simply being able to utilize some funding that already exists to provide the marketing for that. And this too would be reimbursed from ERAP dollars that would be made available. Thank you. And just as a point, I dropped the document in the Jeff, that document that talks about it, and it would be question number 7. It would be FAQ number 7 that talks about relocation. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else, roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Gage Watts,
Yes.
Commissioner Talaferro,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Epperson.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries with 12 in support. And that brings us to the next item, authorizing the introduction of ordinance number 6169 of 2022. That's an ordinance approving a cooperative endeavor agreement with Tim James Incorporated relative to the construction of a privately owned tollway over the Red River pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 48:2037 and otherwise provide with respect thereto. That's in District 9.
Move to advance to Thursday.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Atkins, seconded by Commissioner Chavez. Commissioner Atkins, you want to speak to your motion?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. This private toll road and toll bridge and associated roadways has been proposed by a private entity out of Alabama named Tim James Inc. Mr. James and his company have experience with toll roads. They've built a large toll road in the Florida Panhandle, I believe. They are proposing a toll road that would go from the end of 3132 behind 12 Oaks and between 12 Oaks and Esplanade across some agricultural fields over Highway 1 and then to a bridge that they'll construct that will go over the Red River. It'll be a toll bridge going over the Red River and then connecting on the Bossier side to additional toll-related infrastructure that'll take us to, was that 171 in Bossier going north-south? There would be no parish capital involved in this project. There may be some parish maintenance dollars down the road, but all of the construction dollars would be private dollars. Those private dollars in the developer's mind would be recouped along with the profit through the toll on the bridge. The use of the associated roadways would be free of charge. 12 Oaks has been consulted on this, and although they've got their concerns, they are supportive of the project, and they've been working with Mr. James to make sure he takes their concerns into account moving forward. The port's also been informed of this, and they appear to be supportive of it as well. So I think it's a great value for the parish, for the whole parish beyond any one district, and I'd recommend that we support it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, point of information.
Lyndon's muted right now.
I got Commissioner Jackson up first, and then you can follow.
I'll yield.
Commissioner Burrell, go ahead.
My only question there, when The new president said that there will be maintenance costs down the road. Do we have any ideas? It's one thing to not have any construction dollars, but it's another thing to have maintenance dollars, which could be exorbitant if we are to, if they're going to turn it over to us to maintain. Do we have any idea of what those future costs will be?
Dr. Wilson, can you reply?
Yes, sir. The maintenance will not become an issue until 15 years. We asked for a warranty bond to be established. So the 15 years into the future is when we'll take that property over to be maintained by the parish of Caddo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Jackson.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Wilson, can you repeat what you just said again?
Yes, sir. We asked the Tim James project group to make sure that the parish does not incur any maintenance for 15 years. So they're going to issue a maintenance warranty bond to take care of any maintenance that will come up during that period of time. After 15 years, the parish will be taking on whatever maintenance required to maintain it going forward.
So wait a minute now. So I have been asking the parish to be okay with the 4th Street with right sizing, and all I have gotten is we don't want to take on any additional infrastructure into our inventory, but we're about to take in a bridge. Or we're going to be okay with taking in a bridge in 15 years?
We don't have a bridge, sir. Everything's going to be a road.
We're going to be responsible for the maintenance.
At grade. It's not
Just
a bridge.
the road, just
the
the road, not the bridge.
Even better, even similar. So we're going to be okay with taking in a road in this area of town, but we're not okay with taking in the right sizing of 4th Street. All I've gotten is pushback on that.
There were other issues that mitigated that circumstance, not the same. 4th Street was an existing road that had a lot of problems underneath the surface of that road that was very problematic. And the city and also a bridge. This project is different from that, and it does not include a bridge, and it includes brand new road surfaces and no issues underlining.
No, the section of 4th Street stopped before the bridge. And LADOTD said that they would be okay, that they would prefer you taking the bridge, but they would be absolutely okay with stopping right there where the bridge started, which is fairly a new road too. But we would get a new paved road. We would get a new paved road before they turned it over to us. And so I'm not understanding, why are we okay taking in a bridge in District 9, but we're okay with taking in a road in District 9, but we're not okay with taking in a road in District 3?
Well,
I've got some concerns on that one. Well, I mean, there's a clear difference in position here, and all I've received is nothing but pushback on 4th Street. And we're going to get money to pay. They're going to repay 4th Street, and we actually get a dollar for dollar credit on it. And so you mean tell me the parish staff is perfectly okay with taking in a road in District 9, but you're not okay with taking in the road in District 3?
We think it's certain different circumstances, Commissioner Jackson, that makes it a difference. We can talk at length about this, but it's not apples for apples.
I tell you what, can y'all I'd like to see a scenario, a road to road, scenario to scenario difference in what you're telling me. And I'd like to see it also go to DOTD to see what their differences are, what the differences and what the issues are. Because a road is a road, and all roads do is depreciate over time. None of them appreciate. And so you're going to be having to fix, you're going to have right of way, you're going to have all of that stuff in it over a period of time. You're going to have utilities on it at a certain point of time. So I would like to see, before final passage, I would like to see the comparison of what y'all see are the challenges in the two roads, because I also thought that there was a road somewhere in District 12, maybe, that LADOTD wanted to see the parish part of the off-ramp, whatever, the upsizing program, whatever it was called.
And
right size.
And Commissioner Jackson, and the road we're talking about is similar to the service road that's coming off of I-49. That's going to be in the parish of Caddo. The 4th Street road is in the city of Shreveport. And the city of Shreveport had just as much opposition to that as we did because of the ongoing maintenance problems with it.
The city didn't have any opposition to that. The city
Yeah.
was the city was willing to go in and do. The city was willing to go in, and they're doing it right now. It's fixing the water lines on it. It was identified that there were some water lines that had burst under the road that had caused the structure to collapse up under, and the city was willing to go ahead and go in and do it. The parish was the one that said, we don't want to take it into our system. The state was okay with doing it. And there was no opposition to that. We had a call on it. And there's an email, a series of emails that will validate the city's position on it. They had no opposition to that.
Yes, they did. But man, we can talk about that all day, but they did. Initially, they did.
Okay, well,
okay.
You rest assured that I got my emails, and I'm about to call Councilwoman Taylor.
Yes, sir.
I'm about to call Councilwoman Taylor to see that they've switched their position, because the last call I participated in, they were fine with it. The only issue was underground. There were some pipes that were busted, and the city was trying to figure out how soon they could fix the pipes.
Commissioner Jackson, if they had no opposition to taking the road, why didn't they take it?
No, it was
as
not,
opposed to the parish.
No, Woody, you're changing the issue. It was not opposition to taking the road. The parish, it was always the agreement that the parish was going to take the road. The city was going to fix the infrastructure up on it. Why? I mean, so let's not try to change the narrative here. I would like to see, before final adoption, I would like to see, why will the parish take in this road in District 9, but not willing to take in a road in District 3 through the right sizing program? There's going to be depreciation of roads anywhere you go, whether they're in the city or outside the city limits. Natural disasters are going to happen on them. Trucks are going to drive over them. So I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between a road in District 9 and a road in District 3.
Yeah, we're not looking at it that way, Commissioner Jackson. You are.
But I can't get the road paved, and I can't get the parish to agree. All I've heard.
Yeah, because we did offer you some alternative to getting that road overlaid, and the parish is willing to do that. We did talk about that.
That's news to me.
No, sir. We
I would
did.
also like, okay, well,
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
but we can get together offline. I would like to see that comparison. I would also like to see it go to LADOTD. I'd like to see it go to Representative Jenkins, who has also been a part of this. We've had several conversations on this. I would like to see it go
I was in a meeting with you.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, and I'm about to wrap up, Mr. Chairman. And I don't see the cooperative endeavor that we're being asked to approve here. So I would like to see the cooperative endeavor before final passage. I think it's important for us to see that.
Yeah, I think that's prepared already.
Okay, well, it
Yes,
should be attached, because I come with FAQs and everything else.
We'll get legal to attach that for you, because I think Attorney Bernstein and Attorney Bradford already worked those issues out to our satisfaction. So that should be available to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, sir.
Mr. Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me just remind everybody that Louisiana Department of Transportation is already evaluating the extension of 3132. The proposed toll road would be replacing the state road, the state extension of 3132. So instead of the state spending capital money to extend 3132, we'll have a private company come in and spend the capital to expand 3132, and they'll add a bridge at the end of 3132. So, the maintenance, to Commissioner Jackson's point, the maintenance would be in place whether the state owns it or whether it's private. So we're not going in the hole there with respect to maintenance. And let me remind you all that this project would cost $80 to $100 million. Those are construction costs that would be injected into our local community and would be a big boon to our local tax base. So in my mind, we're replacing state dollars with private dollars, and those state dollars can be used for some other opportunity down the road, like, whatever opportunity one may be maybe looking towards, but this is not a Louisiana Department of Transportation project. It's a private sector project. So anyway, I encourage you all to be supportive of this win-win proposition for the parish of Caddo. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Burrell?
I'm okay, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to see if we could take that conversation to a committee somewhere instead of hashing it out in the public here. Seemed like there were some issues that we really need to kind of take notice, maybe in a committee if we have one. But I'm fine.
All right, that typically would be in long range, but I do have a question. Why is this a ordinance instead of a resolution if there's no dollars involved? That's the first question.
To whom are you directing that, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I can hear you, Henry.
Still can't hear you, Henry.
Henry, I think your mic is not selected. It looks like you're unmuted, but we still can't hear you. Check and see, maybe your mic got disconnected from your.
Yeah, still can't hear you.
No. Is this better?
Now we got you.
Hold on. Let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner, in answer to your question, the state statute dealing with private tollways requires that the parish governing authority approve it by ordinance. Normally, it would be a resolution, you're correct, but because the state statute says that we have to do it by ordinance, that's why it's an ordinance.
Okay, and the second one is why is it to approve a cooperative endeavor agreement instead of a deal? Because typically we don't do approve those.
I'm not sure.
Typically we don't approve cooperative endeavor agreements. You guys write them, they get them signed, but we never approve those.
Correct. Because the state statute says that approval by the parish governing authority of this private toll road has to be done by ordinance. There's also going to be a cooperative endeavor agreement that's going to have the terms, for instance, the 15-year that the developer, Tim James Inc., is going to be responsible for the maintenance for 15 years. Additionally, the cooperative endeavor agreement is going to set out the limits of what the parish will be taking into the road system. Rather than the discussion about all of it, the parish is actually taking a fairly short piece of road into the parish road system. So all this is going to be in the cooperative endeavor agreement that needs to be approved.
Okay, I guess, to me, when you do it like that, instead of just saying basically what's going to be done, including the 15-year maintaining, or 15-year after that, we'll maintain these roads or whatever, the details or whatever you're going to put in the cooperative endeavor agreement, instead of saying that we're going to approve a cooperative endeavor agreement, because now that, to me, that opens a can of worms to say that we want to see cooperative endeavor agreements and approve those as well.
Well, this is a one-off situation, because normally the cooperative endeavor agreements that you're referring to result from the fact that you all have appropriated money to go to an entity, and the cooperative endeavor agreement is the legal vehicle, the legal instrument through which we flow that money to, say, an NGO. In this instance, we don't have that appropriation that the cooperative endeavor agreement would be falling behind. So when we do a cooperative endeavor agreement, we feel like the authorization for the cooperative endeavor agreement is the appropriation, is the budget ordinance itself. So this is why this is a similar situation in our viewpoint, is that normally there'd be a budget ordinance as the legal cause for the cooperative endeavor agreement. Here, it's the ordinance approving the project that actually generates the cooperative endeavor agreement.
Okay. All right. I see no one else.
Chairman, Mr. President.
Commissioner Jackson, I see your hand.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to advance this, but to also move this to the long range plan committee, because I have some more more questions. Wow.
Second. I second.
Who was that second by?
Commissioner Epperson.
Okay, been moved by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Epperson to move to advance, but also to move to the long range planning committee. Commissioner Jackson, want to speak to the motion?
Yeah, I heard the conversation, and I have some additional concerns, and I think some other commissioners have some additional concerns about, well, what we have not been told as of right now. My impression was that this whole thing was going to be private. None of this, and when I initially asked about it, none of it was going to be a responsibility of the parish. Now I'm hearing that after a 15-year period, the parish is going to be responsible for it. And so those are new developments that have taken place. When other people have brought issues down here that are complex and confusing, we turn over like we're about to create a new book in the Bible, as if folks are so confused. And let me just say, I am hot to hear that we are okay. I don't care what size the road is, that we're okay with taking in a road in another part of town. And I have been pushing for 4 darn years to try to get something done on 4th Street, which is a highly traveled road. I'll get the road counts on 4th Street, the traffic count on 4th Street, a highly traveled road in Caddo Parish, through Shreveport. But here in District 9, we're just okay with taking in this road into our inventory. I was told point blank, we don't want to take in any more roads. It wasn't conditioned by anything. It was, we don't want to take in any more inventory. And here we are now saying we're okay with it. That's a problem. And I also want to know, not only do I want to know what's the details of the cooperative endeavor, are we going to be sharing, once we start taking over the maintenance of the road, are we going to be sharing in a portion of the toll fees at that point? Because they would have to cross a parish road. So has that even been asked or put on the table? So there's just some more issues that I think need to be fleshed out here. And let me say this, Commissioner Atkins, unlike in some instances, I'll eventually support it if it makes sense. I'm not just going to throw up barriers and obstacles, and I'm going to lay out up front. I'm not going to wait till we get to the meeting to throw a curveball. I'm going to lay out what my concerns are up front, and I'm going to put them on wax. I'm going to put it out there. And so I'd like to see this move to a committee so that we can flesh out those concerns.
Commissioner Atkins.
The only money we're arguing about here is the maintenance cost 15 years in advance, or 15 years into the future. We're going to be fixating on that at the expense of the benefits of this road and this bridge being built with private dollars in our community, and the savings of the state dollars that we were going to use to extend 3132. So this is a clear bargain for the parish, in my view, and for the state. So I would encourage us to go ahead and forward this to Thursday's agenda unencumbered. And let's move forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
See no one else? Roll call on the substitute motion, which would be to advance and send to long range committee.
Hey, yes, this is to advance 6169 and send to the long range committee as well. And let's see, Commissioner Hopkins.
No.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Gage Watts.
Yes.
Commissioner Talaferro.
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins.
No.
Commissioner Chavez.
No.
Commissioner Lazarus.
No.
And Commissioner Epperson.
Yes.
All right, it looks like that motion carries with 8 in support and 4 in opposition to advance 6169 and also to refer it to long range committee. The next item on our agenda is to authorize the introduction of ordinance number 6170 of 2022. That's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the oil and gas fund for the year 2022 to provide an appropriation for relocation assistance and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move to advance.
Second.
Been moved by the chair, second by Commissioner Jackson to advance ordinance number 6170 of 2022. Everybody, this ordinance is dealing with relocation assistance. When talking to administration, I think it's ERAP $2 that we are out of. Those dollars could be used for relocation based on the interpretation that they have. We have ERAP $1 presently, which is dealing with rental assistance only. And so we have some people who really wants to leave their living conditions based upon mold, mildew, rats, and all that, but they need that help to move from one location to the other. This ordinance also limits the amount of rental of relocation assistance so that we can get more people relocated if possible. Ask for your support on this. It's terribly needed in Caddo Parish. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, I dropped a link into the chat, and I'll just kind of just read what it says. It says the statute establishing ERA 1 and ERA 2, which is the ERAP program. And I'm reading this directly from the Treasury's website, so I'm not making this up. It says allows the funds to be used for certain other expenses as defined by the Secretary. What are some examples of these other expenses? It says for both ERAP 1 and ERAP 2, other expenses related to housing include reallocation expenses, including prospective relocation expenses, such as rental security deposits, rental fees, which may include application or screening fees. So I'm not understanding where anybody is getting the notion that these dollars can't be either taken from ERAP 1 or used for ERAP 1, or not taken from ERAP 1 or reimbursed from ERAP 1 dollars. And so this overinterpretation of the FAQ, and I believe there's also the ability to get on the phone with the Treasury and talk through if there's a misinterpretation. So I would hope in doing this, we would read what the Treasury guidelines say in very plain English, or we would take the time to get on the phone, because now we're dipping into taxpayer dollars to do something that we could be doing with dollars that have been sent down from the Treasury. So, and it's clear as day. It's in black and white on there. I think this is needed. I think this is necessary, but I also think that this could be utilized or reimbursed if we have to go forward. We can reimburse these dollars from the pool of ERAP dollars that we have. Thank you.
All right, finance or administration, can y'all address the issue that I had been asking about? And that's the reason why I put this on here, as opposed to what Commissioner Jackson is saying.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, I will say, I'll let Haley add to it, but I will say one reason we're using oil and gas is because this relocation assistance is for anyone, regardless if they're on the ERAP program. ERAP dollars can only be used for the persons that are on the ERAP program. And our understanding of the Treasury guidelines for ERAP 1 is that it has to be related to COVID. And we know that these persons who would be relocating, the majority of them will not be relocating due to COVID. So that is the hang up for us. It can use relocation dollars, but relocation dollars, our understanding in relation to COVID, we have no issue. We talk to Treasury, we can get on calls. Yes, we can continue to research this issue. I will say, but this one, you are asking, Commissioner Johnson, you asked us for anyone in any parts of the parish, and if they're not on ERAP, they can't use the ERAP dollars. So that's why this particular ordinance is using oil and gas dollars.
All right. Thank you. Because I do know that some of the people that we're talking about assisting are not in the ERAP program. Seeing no one else, roll call.
All right. Let's see. Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Gage Watts,
Yes.
Commissioner Talaferro,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Epperson.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries with 12 of 12 in support of it. And that moves us on to the next item, which is to authorize the introduction of ordinance number 6171 of 2022. And that is an ordinance amending the 2022 budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the American Rescue Plan Fund to provide an additional appropriation for Fit for Life Ministries and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move to advance.
Second.
Been moved by the chair, second by who's that?
Jackson.
Oh, Commissioner Jackson. On ordinance number 6171 of 2022. Basically, this one is it's a nonprofit organization that had an event that was basically canceled, and these American Rescue Dolls could go to help for lost revenues, and this money is providing for those lost revenues. Superman Blunt basically is trying to take this particular event to a whole nother level. He has now some international people coming in town for economic development, and it's growing, but the only thing that's holding it up is COVID. So just to try to help him get to that next level, to be able to bring all these international bodybuilders and weightlifters in town, this will help because of the year that he had lost revenues. Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. I wanted to read one of the questions that was sent to me from a citizen. You explained it very well, but I just want to read it. It says ordinance 6171 of 2022, Fit for Life 35K. What is this all about? That was the end of it. But I'm in support of this, commissioners. I agree with Commissioner Johnson. What Superman has done is incredible. To bring this to Shreveport, as opposed to them going to Chicago or Dallas or any other big city, it's astronomical that we have this here, and I'm glad that we can be a part of it. So I'll be definitely supporting this. Thank you, President.
All right, seeing no one else, roll call.
All right, Commissioner Hopkins,
No.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Gage Watts,
Yes.
Commissioner Talaferro,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
Commissioner Epperson.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries with 11 in support and 1 in opposition. And that brings us to the next item, which is going to be the authorization of introduction of ordinance number 6172 of 2022. That's an ordinance amending the 2022 budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the E. Edward Jones Housing Trust Fund to provide appropriations for the housing projects and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move for introduction.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Epperson. Commissioner Jackson, want to speak to your motion?
Yes, this is basically, I would actually say this is actually some cleanup language that we've done. You heard from Mr. Lester, who was representing the 3 organizations who actually applied. It was not an RFP, but they submitted the application. And I think there was some questions in the minutes on whether we allocated or designated or whatever. And so this is basically to clarify what the intent there was. So this basically does that so that they can move forward. I can tell you that one group has received a conditional award letter from another source that they will be leveraging their portion of their $600,000 with to further do some more work that they're doing. So it's an opportunity to do something great in our community. And my hope is that we will clarify what we were supposed to be doing there. Thank you.
Commissioner Chavez, your hand up.
No, that's from prior. I'm gonna take that down.
Okay. I guess I would have to kind of disagree with the first part of Commissioner Jackson's statement about cleanup. When I made the motion in the American Rescue Plan, I made the motion to move $2 million over to E. Edward Jones Housing Fund. And I wanted to do that so that any of the developers that would come along and want to do any type of housing projects or housing renovations would have the opportunity to do so. And I also knew that E. Edward Jones has I think it had either a committee or it has a process in which was supposed to help vet those programs and projects. And that then at that point in time, they would then allocate or come back with a recommendation to the body, and the body would then vote on those recommended dollar amounts. To say that you would give any organization, a nonprofit organization, $1 million on a one-page application, I don't think that really makes too much sense to do that. I think it needs to be more vetting, more information supplied, more detail than to just do it off of that. I'm not against giving them dollars, but I do think it needs to go through the process. And I think that E. Edward Jones Housing had some type of skeletal process in place in order to get that done instead of just doing it from a one-page application. Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, to respond to that, that's incorrect. We put out and and I think we had this discussion about something else. Let me be clear. I want to say you said that we shouldn't give anybody that much money. We also agreed to give Galilee Baptist Church either $600,000 or $700,000. So they're actually getting more than
they're actually getting $500,000.
Okay, either way, they're getting $500,000. Okay, and they've received their letter, and it was conditional. It was conditioned upon the school board doing some things, the city of Shreveport doing some things. So there was no other process for them either. And they are in my district and I support them. What we did was we put out an application. We asked those organizations and entities what would be their projects, and they filled out and returned what we asked for, okay? To ask them to go through another step or another hoop to jump through another hurdle, I don't think it's fair. They responded to what we put out. What we also did last year was we also added that a grant process could be allowed for housing because we knew and we anticipated American Rescue Plan dollars to be able to be used. And so the process that we have is for the revolving loan. There is no process for American Rescue Plan dollars. They're not asking for a loan here. So those are two separate processes or two separate deals there. One is the revolving loan, which involves the $1 million that the parish put up. The other is this American Rescue Plan process for which there was an application. Those organizations went through that process. And I think that it is not fair to them to tell them now, because we didn't do that with any other organization. We didn't ask them, and we're giving out a pretty substantial amount of money to other organizations. We didn't ask them to come back, and now you have to go through another process because the parish has an established NGO process and we have an established economic development process. We didn't ask any of those organizations to go through a multi-step process we asked them to fill out the ARP application. They submitted their application. They submitted what their projects was. They submitted a budget. So nothing is going to change in between what we've done. Nothing is going to change in between what they've submitted here to the ARP committee. And I believe there is no more committee. We removed the committee, the technical committee, from the E. Edward Jones Housing Trust Fund. The parish voted to take that out. And so there is no more technical committee with the E. Edward Jones Housing Trust Fund. So I'm asking us to go forward and make the commitment that these organizations left with the understanding that they had. One organization has about a $360,000 leverage that they're trying to get. And if we sit here and toy around or call around, they may lose that. And so we're talking about real dollars in real time. Thank you.
All right. So as we talked about these issues in our American Rescue Plan, even the projects themselves had questions. One was basically for the parish to give a nonprofit adjudicated property. They would go in and then turn around and sell those homes. Question asked at that point in time was, where does the profit of those homes go? The answer was back to the parish. All right. The other one was rental property, fixing up rental property, and then that person would then continue to rent those properties out. I do believe that, things like that are needed. We do need additional housing in Shreveport. That's fair. But at the same time, we just got to make sure that things are vetted more than just a one-page guideline. And when you look at the Treasury guidelines, housing is about the shortest piece of the whole guideline. It's not really in great detail.
That's not our fault, though. That's not our fault.
But I'm talking right now. I didn't disturb you when you were
talking. I'm just saying that's not our fault. We can't put
I understand that, but at the same time, it's something we go forward and do this, and then all of a sudden those guidelines change, which the guidelines have been changing this whole time. Those guidelines change, and now there's no report because basically now we also said in all of this money that we're giving out, if an organization does not give those monthly reports like they're supposed to give, we can stop giving the money. We can cut the money off. So that was a part of one of the motions that I made. So that's what the body wants to do. That's fine. I was saying that we utilized E. Edward Jones money, and in the housing fund, that's what it was established for. We took the money from American Rescue Plan, moved it over there, followed the process that you was going to follow out of the E. Edward Jones Housing Fund to fund these projects, because there could be some more projects come from this. We was going to try to leverage the money that we put into the fund to get more money to do more housing development. Now, if that's not what we're going to do, then there's really no need to have the E. Edward Jones Housing Fund if we just going to pull money out and just give it to organizations based upon a one-page application. And on top of that, you got one organization that didn't fill out the application yet.
Well, point of clarification.
So that's what I'm saying. We got to make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted to give out their money.
Point of clarification.
In my opinion.
Point of clarification. May I have the floor?
You can have the floor. Go ahead.
So let me be very clear. There is no more technical process. The technical process that you're speaking of is for the loan. These would be grants. Whatever guidelines that we have established for the American Rescue Plan, these organizations would have to establish. If it's a monthly report, a quarterly report, or annual report, they would have to follow those, no different than any of the other organizations that we have set forward, okay? So this process is not asking, this motion is not asking them to usurp any process that's already been established by the American Rescue Plan, okay? The other thing is the application, what I asked Erica to do, because we couldn't, my understanding was that Image Changers, which is in your district, they submitted an application, but nobody knows where they submitted the application to. So if we want to amend them out, I'm fine with that. What I told Erica Bryant was, Ms. Bryant was, I didn't want anybody to say that I arbitrarily left Image Changers out. So if they didn't submit the application, they don't get it. That's plain and simple. But what I'm not going to do is sit back and allow us to basically ring these organizations across the ringer when they've done what we asked them to do. We asked them to spill out and submit. We haven't asked any other organization to go through any other process beyond filling out. And I didn't establish the one-page application. That application was put together somewhere else. Okay, so now we're knocking our application. I didn't put that together. Those
All right, so I want the floor back now.
Well, those organizations didn't.
I want the floor back. I gave you the floor for that, for you to respond.
I just wanted to be clear that nobody here established those.
So when I want the floor back. All right. So based on what you just said, you got two organizations that fill out the application. Image Changers has been wanting to get into the Edward Jones fund process from the very beginning. They was the only organization that showed up day one when we voted upon it. Had no problem with that. What I'm trying to do is establish a process and be consistent with this, that it goes across. Is it $100 and some million on finance? Was it that much? Or how much was it request on the $46 million that we had?
I'm not exactly sure of the total. Do you remember, Erica?
Commissioner, can you ask your question? You dropped for a second.
What was the total amount requested from all organizations for the $46 million we got in the ARP?
Oh, I don't have the exact number, but it was nearly, I want to say, I don't know, it was about 70 to 100 million. It was a lot, but I don't have it.
All right, so you're looking at $100 million worth of requests. Everybody didn't get what they wanted. Everybody didn't get what they wanted. We had to basically try to utilize those dollars as much as we possibly could to stimulate the economy with Caddo Parish. So if an organization came in and asked for $1 million, not necessarily you're going to get that $1 million. And I'm just saying, go through a process in order to make sure that you vet it right. That's why I put the money over in the Edward Jones, so you have a process that can vet those dollars to go out for housing projects. That's the only thing that I'm saying. It might not be nobody else. And if it is nobody else, that's fine and dandy. But right now,
there is no process.
There could be. There needs to be. Everything needs to have a process. That's what we always do. That's why we're not consistent if we don't have a process. And that's what I'm trying to say. We need to have a process in place to utilize those funds out of debt, to vet those dollars, so that that process will go on. And the next organization comes up, the process is already in place. You know what you're going to get, and that's how it works. That's all I'm simply trying to say. We just don't need to handpick some money over here and a dollar amount, because if they ask for $1 million, now you substitute and said, give them 600,000. So, I mean, who went through the process to reduce it, $400,000?
That's what
I'm saying. There's no process.
That's what the committee approved.
Basically
No,
said somebody
point of order. Point of order.
No, I still have the floor.
The committee approved. The committee moved
forward. The committee approved $2 million to go from the American Rescue Plan to Edward Jones. It listed no
$600,000 per organization.
It listed no organizations.
Yes, it did. It's in the minutes.
I made the motion. It did not list any organizations.
Read the minutes. It's in the minutes.
Okay, I made the motion. $2 million.
I'm just reading to you what's in the minutes. I'm just reading back to you what's in the minutes. Those three organizations are in the minutes.
Okay, well, I know I made the motion, and that's not what I said in the motion. Commissioner Hopkins, you have the floor.
I guess my question, let me see. Okay, my question is, I support doing this type of program. I think it has potential to help not only citizens, but to put some tax base back into the parish. But would we be better off maybe moving this forward and going to committee and fixing the process, or what? I mean, I guess that's a question from finance.
Let me just say, I don't have a problem with that, Commissioner Hopkins. I didn't create this process. The organizations didn't create this process.
And you don't have the floor.
They're just following the process. Finance. Well, nobody's talking.
All right, so finance has nothing to say.
I know. I was trying to talk. I was just going to say that the application was prepared by finance and approved by the committee. So that's the application process that we used. It never was to be the final document for any of these organizations. And I hope that y'all don't think that everybody that's filled out that application and has been appropriated is done, because they're not. If that wasn't explained well, then I apologize. So each project, each program, they all have different requirements for reporting. And so administration, Ms. Bryant exactly, has talked to me about getting with legal on a monthly basis and working out these contracts, working out what more information we need from each entity to get these projects and things going. It's all going to be on a reimbursable basis. Nobody's getting money up front, and it all has to follow the federal procurement guidelines. So there's a lot more work for each entity. It's going to be a lot more than just one document. So there's going to be a lot more paperwork before the first check is cut, except for revenue replacement, because that one is just a sheer calculation that I do based on the data that they have to provide. But every other contract, CA, whatever you want to call it, is going to have extenuating documentation before anybody gets $1. If it's $5 or if it's $1 million, it's all the same amount of paperwork that's going to be due.
Okay, I think that answers my question. I'm not sure I still am comfortable, because it sounds like we're missing something, and so that's why I want to ask that question. Thank you.
The part we're missing, Todd, is when we made the motion out of the committee, there was no dollar amount associated with any project. So the process that's missing is associating money to that particular project. It's that simple. And that's the part I'm talking about. We got to have a process to allocate the money to that particular project. All we did was move money from ARP to E. Edward Jones in a lump sum, and now you have to allocate money out, and how you do that.
Okay.
Seeing no one else? Well, Commissioner Jackson, you speak more than twice already.
Well, my hand is up, or point of order. I have a question or clarification for finance to what finance said.
You can ask the question, but no.
Yeah, Miss. No, I have a point of clarification. Miss Barnett, is she? You're on mute, Haley, if you're talking. Miss Barnett, what I heard you say was that everyone received everyone basically was approved for an allocation. Is that correct?
I said the ones that we have listed as
Correct.
entities that were approved. The
Correct.
2 entities that are listed on this ordinance were not previously approved.
Okay, but everybody who's received letters have been approved, essentially, correct?
Yes.
And what you all are doing now is going through the internal processes that you have to do to get cooperative endeavors, reporting, and things of that nature done, correct?
To a degree, there's a little bit more to it than that. It's not going to be just like the NGOs. It's not going to be that simple.
But you got some additional legwork that you basically have to get done.
Right.
So we set aside and we approved those dollars for those organizations that have received those letters. And now there has to be sort of an administrative process that they have to go through for reporting, for cooperative endeavors, for whatever issues. There's an administrative process that y'all are getting ready to take them through.
Right.
Before dollars are allocated. Is that correct?
Right. Right.
So what is before us today is no different, commissioners, than what we have already done. Is we set aside, we're identifying, and we're setting aside these dollars for the organizations, and then they would go through that same administrative process, Todd, to clarify what is it, how's it going to be reported.
So you had your point.
All of those.
Now you're doing your debate.
No, I'm doing my point. I had a point, and so I'm
your
making.
Your point was to ask questions to
finance.
finance.
Well, my point, please, I'm speaking. And
but
the point,
you
cut me off from making my point. You cut me off from making my
clarification.
And
asked for a
I'm
point
trying
of
to get to my
clarification.
point if you would stop cutting me off.
But you're debating your issue.
I'm not debating, I'm making my point. It's a point of clarification.
Your
She's
point was to ask
clarified it.
questions.
So my point is
Jeff,
that
would you mute that?
my
Because that's not part of this point of
no,
clarification.
you cutting me off, and that's against parliamentary procedures. I'm
It is
making my
not.
point of clarification.
Mr. Parliamentarian, what is point of clarification?
I'm trying to make my point.
Roy, are you there? Or you gone?
I am. Are you using the parliamentarian, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I'm asking you what is point of clarification?
I'm gonna have to refer that over to Jeff or either the attorney on this one.
Okay. Do you want me to just read, from,
that would be good. I don't have mine in front of me, Jeff.
Official definition of, what a point of clarification is?
Yes.
Okay, let's see, I've got my Robert's rules here. If you'll hold just one moment, I'll pull that up.
Henry, do you know off the top without having to look it up?
No, I don't know off the top of my head.
Hey, guys, it's when someone draws attention to a rules violation.
Oh,
that explains it.
So I'm trying to make my point now.
But you asked the question, we all heard the answer. So basically that was making your
I'm
point.
the one who was making the maker of the motion.
The copy of Robert's rules that I have right in front of me has point of information defined as requests information from the chairperson about the matter at hand, and it doesn't need to be seconded.
So point exact. So you asked question to finance answered the question. After that point, your point of clarification was done.
I do have a right to close with my point of clarification.
But you have already had 2 times.
I've been cut
so
off.
therefore,
but you
didn't have
called on me
full
though. You recognize me, and if you're gonna recognize me, give me.
I
the
recognize you
opportunity.
for point of clarification.
Well, all I'm saying is that this process is no different than a process that any other organization has gone through already. If we want to send this,
so can we now move on?
If we want to move this forward,
we already got point from the clerk on what that means.
And I've been cut off the entire time I've tried to make my point.
But it's for you to ask questions, and you already asked it.
No, it is to get clarification.
You got it.
Okay. But like I said, the money moved from ARP to ELJ. So now can we have roll call? Because there's no one else on the board.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
No.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Jones, I didn't hear a response if you gave one. Commissioner Gage Watts. Commissioner Gage Watts, I believe you're muted as well. Commissioner Talaferro. Commissioner Atkins.
No.
Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus.
No.
And Commissioner Epperson.
Yes.
And then just to make sure I didn't skip them, Commissioner Jones, Gage Watts, or Talaferro, are you wanting to cast votes?
I'm sorry, Jeff. I had a lost signal here. No.
Okay, thank you very much. And Commissioner Gage Watts and Commissioner Jones. Just in the event that they may have had a technical glitch. Okay, let's see. That motion carries with 6 in support and 4 in opposition to advance. So 6172 does advance. And that brings us to the next item, which is to authorize resolution number 1 of 2022. That's a resolution authorizing the Caddo Community Action Agency to administer the Head Start program for the parish of Caddo and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Hopkins to move resolution number 1 of 2022. Commissioner Burrell, you want to speak to that motion?
No, Mr. Chairman, I think that we've dealt with this program over the years, so I think we're good.
All right. Seeing no one else, roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Gage Watts, Commissioner Talaferro, Commissioner Atkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
Commissioner Epperson.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries with 10 in support and 2 out of the chamber, unless Commissioners Gage Watts or Talaferro are available. Okay, so that motion carries with.
Mr. Chairman, point of clarification here.
Yes, sir.
From a parliamentary, it may not be parliamentary, maybe on procedure. When you're in the meeting, I know there are options of yes, no, and abstention. Should you vote? Isn't it a requirement that you vote either up, down, or abstain when you're in the meeting, unless you're not in the meeting? That is my point of information, I guess, not clarification.
Yeah, and that's noted. But been doing that, it's a Zoom meeting. We can't tell because the video is off whether the person is there or not. They could have stepped away from everything. So
yeah. Just wanted to know.
It's not like in person.
Yeah, just a matter of information for all who are there.
Well, thank you for asking that question. I think it's a good one for the the body and for the general public. But you're right. In person, you would be required to issue a vote, and President Johnson is correct. We have to modify that somewhat for a teleconference because we cannot tell if somebody is present.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
But that motion does carry with 10 in support and 2 absent, and that brings us to the next item, which is authorization of resolution number 7 of 2020. That's a resolution authorizing the parish administrator to retain special legal counsel and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
Move to advance.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Hopkins to advance resolution number 7 of 2022. Commissioner Jackson will speak to that motion.
I would like to offer up as an amendment at this time to ensure that there's an option for local and minority participation on this council. If I get a second, I can explain.
Second.
Yes, I have. I don't have any particular issues with this deal. I have asked some questions of parish staff as well as legal. I don't know if Don is backing in yet, but I know that Mr. Wolf is being dubbed as the sort of subject matter expert. Don't necessarily have a problem with that. But what I do want to make sure we do is to continue to cultivate the minds and legal expertise here in our local community. And so if there's an opportunity to have somebody local, we're talking about growing our capacity. I think this body put up somewhere between $100,000 to $200,000 to undertake a disparity study as we talk about, what are the needs here. And so 6 months to a year from now or 3 years from now, my hope is that we would have a subject matter expert on this issue coming from our own community, and we're cultivating those minds within our own community, as opposed to having to reach out to New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Houston, and Dallas. I do know that things are going to be, there are some things where you have to get specialized counsel on. I get that. I have no opposition, no reservation to that, but I'm always going to be mindful and conscious of cultivating and growing the talent here in our local community. So we must start to do that part, and that takes a commitment from us as a body. So Mr. Wolf has done a great job, or Mr. Wolf, you know, he can do his part, but I think it should be incumbent upon us to start working toward building capacity here. And, you know, I don't know that this went out for an RFP. I'm sure the parish already has a relationship with Mr. Wolf, but I do know that there are some legal minds here that would love to also have an opportunity to grow, to learn more, and to just basically get this experience and working in municipal government when you're talking about TIFs and things of that nature. And if we never give that opportunity here local, when this deal comes back, or when an opportunity like this comes back around, we still won't have anybody local. So this is about making sure that we invest local dollars in local people. Thank you.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. On that same token, what Commissioner Jackson is saying, did we ask the Shreveport Bar Association if anybody here does economic development? And that could be not to you, President, but to the staff. Or did we actually request an RFP?
Commissioner Chavez, we did not request an RFP on this one yet, but there are certain criteria that we embody in the document that we'd like to have a person be in possession of that will work with us on this.
Okay, I would definitely encourage us to get the Shreveport Bar Association involved and ask them. Second question, and this is maybe the clerk, why are we jumping from 1 to 7? Is this because
that's because of items that were removed in order to be compliant with the teleconference agenda requirements?
Okay, and and this is a question for the president. I had a couple text messages from different people. Were all these certified? Is this agenda the one that you certified, President Johnson?
Yes.
Okay, some of them didn't seem like they fit, but I wanted to check on that. Okay.
They all had deadlines, or they was dealing with a budget.
I got you. Okay, I yield. Thank you, President.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, I support having Mr. Wolf do this because I think he has the experience and the technical knowledge. And in my TIF 549 TIF, I have seen that there's a lot of concern, and it's probably above my pay grade on answering some of those concerns. But I know Mr. Wolf can actually help us on that. So I would appreciate moving this on. Thank you.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I share many of the views expressed on this matter. I share a lot of Commissioner Jackson's thoughts. I think Mr. Wolf does a great job. We should use him when we must, but I would encourage us to develop some local talent in this arena and give some local people a chance to build their skill set in this area and work with some local attorneys when possible. Thank you, sir.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman, I can't find my hand to go up.
Well,
Commissioner
I'm next. You see my hand, Mr. President?
Hold on.
My hand is up.
Okay, go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's it's a slight slap in the face, I think, to our local legal establishment. We didn't even ask them. They provide a lot of pro bono. They do a lot of contributions. I think I saw some attorneys donated a certain amount of money toward buying body cameras. And also, aren't we in the mix to get a law school here? I certainly hope that would be on their academic schedule. But I really think that their lawmakers and our local legal establishment are articulate enough, whereas they could do some research as far as what's happening here, as far as they have friends and colleagues throughout the state and probably the nation that have dealt with TIFs where they can qualify to meet that criteria. So I think that we should go back and make that request of our legal persons within Caddo Parish and not go forward with this. So I'll be voting against this. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I still can't find my hand.
Oh, I was going to call you. Go ahead, Commissioner Burrell.
Mr. Chairman, for many years, I've dealt with these type of economic development issues where we try to build our capacity within our city, our state, and now working with the parish. For many of you that may not know, I was one of the ones who first started to compile the fair share program, although it wasn't ideal. That's with the city. It wasn't ideal, but it was an alternative to a minority set-asides and quotas. But in this situation, especially when you're dealing with professional services, I don't know if the parish has a program similar to that, but that would normally bring a diverse group to the table in order to participate in these types of contracts. And if we don't have one, we need to work toward one because we'll never build our capacity, especially in the area of diversity in economic development until we do something of that nature, Mr. Chairman. So I just encourage that. Thank you.
I would like to offer a motion to basically look for a local attorney that could do this TIF, and if not, then go out to David Wolf, but then assign someone locally to work with him if there is nobody.
Second.
Been moved by the chair and seconded by Commissioner Epperson. To first go after a local attorney. If none is available, then go to David Wolf and have that and select a local attorney to work with him in order to establish the TIF.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I just want to point out that Mr. Bernstein has his hand up. I don't know if you want to give him a chance to comment before we vote on this, or if that's
I was about to recognize him.
Okay.
Sure. With regard to Mr. Wolf, I would have to say that Mr. Wolf's career has been spent doing this. In fact, his history with the parish goes back over 10 years. And so from that standpoint, in terms of a subject matter expert, he is one of the top subject matter experts in the state. He works with numerous districts around the state doing this. So he's eminently qualified. And with regard to that, we're only looking for outside counsel where we've got, we need that expertise in addition to what expertise we already have in-house. So in that regard, we're not looking to add additional legal staff other than to the extent that we need a specialized attorney that already has the experience and qualifications to give us the guidance and the legal assistance that we need with regard to this. So, in that matter, I don't know that there's really anything to be gained by other than moving forward with Mr. Wolf, simply because there's not somebody that really comes up to his standard with regard to this.
Okay, well, this is where I kind of differ for your professional knowledge on that. If we don't try to help people in our local economy do this, then how are they to get to that level? I mean, if all the TIFs are done with one attorney, Dave Wolf, what happened when he dies? Y'all said the same thing about Ray Canese, that he was the top expert. He died. And now you got Dave Wolf that comes along, and you're saying that he is the specialist. But if we don't groom people up here on these type of projects, how do we get somebody from Northwest Louisiana to be able to do these TIFs in northern part of the state of Louisiana? You know, we feeding lawyers in New Orleans all the time on stuff. You got another one, you got Grant that comes up that does the bond issues. You know, we need to be getting somebody locally that can do that as well. So my deal is look in-house first. Those are professional. Those attorneys have passed the bar. They specialize in certain fields. Utilize one of them. Even if they're not the top in the state, still utilize them. He can always call Dave Wolf for questions and take that out of his pay, I guess. But we need to be able to cultivate somebody locally so that when we have these issues, we ain't always have to go down to Dave Wolf. What if something happens to him? Who we got then? There's nobody. So on this particular deal, I agree with Commissioner Jackson about we need to be trying to do things to help the professionals up here and not just always send stuff to South Louisiana and say, well, you know, that's who we always use. They the best. How do you know we don't have something better up here? We don't never use it. And we're not talking about permanent staff. We're talking about just to do this particular deal. And if there is somebody, I would like for us to reach out to them to do it as opposed to Dave Wolf. Commissioner Jackson, your hand back up?
Yes, this is on the new motion. And I just wanted to clarify that this is not the attorneys for those specific tips. My understanding was this was not for the specific tips, right? This is just for counsel to parish legal. Can somebody give me some?
That's correct.
Okay, because I definitely would like, I'm definitely going to be pushing for local experience or local for those specific tips. And, you know, I hate to beat a dead horse here, but if we always walk to New Orleans or always walk past our own to Baton Rouge and New Orleans and elsewhere, I asked a question from some folks this past weekend. I asked how many Shreveport attorneys are getting New Orleans contracts. Nobody could give me an answer. No one could give me an answer. We have to be intentional about supporting the professionals here. Commissioner Everson brought up a great point. We're about to have a law school up here. What are we going to be saying to folks those students who should be starting? I think they're starting virtually now, but in a couple of weeks, you know, come learn up here, but move to New Orleans if you want opportunities up here. That sends the wrong message. And this is not about Mr. Wolf. This is not about, you know, any particular person. This is about Caddo Parish. We have to be intentional and we have to be very loud and clear when we're talking to folks. And then we have to go reach down into our minority lawyer, our Black Lawyers Association as well. And I don't want to start calling names because I would upset somebody and lose them, but I know that there are a lot of folks here who would chomp at the bit to be able to work with the parish and would provide. Now, look, if they can't provide the service, get rid of them. But Keith Hightower had a saying, and I don't know that he's maybe, you know, no politics involved here, but he had a saying when he ran for mayor, said, bring the children home. And that resonated. I was probably in the 5th grade when he did that. Bring the children home. What message are we sending to the children when we go to New Orleans? Now, I know we got a demographer that's not here. So again, sometimes that happens. But will we ever work toward putting our own first? Because we put the demographer piece out for contract and the best price came back. I don't know that we put this attorney bill out for a contract for RFP. So I just really would wish that we would work to support our local folks here. Thank you.
Roll call on the substitute motion.
Hold up, Mr. Chairman. My hand was up.
Okay, I don't see it, but okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay. This is to staff. I think I've gotten some emails where our staff is in the legal department has been out for continuing education. So I would think that they maybe need to take a class on TIFs where they can have some in-house. You know what I mean? That'd be a good class for them.
Okay,
Okay.
roll call.
Commissioner Hopkins.
You muted, Todd.
Commissioner Hopkins, you're muted. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Jackson, I didn't hear your response.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Burrell.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Jones.
Must be going on.
Okay, I didn't hear a response. Commissioner Gage Watts.
Yes.
Commissioner Talaferro.
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Yes.
Commissioner Epperson.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries with 10 in support, 1 in opposition, and 1 absent. And that brings us to the next item on your agenda, which is to authorize a representative from the Juvenile Justice Citizens Advisory Committee as a visitor for the January 6th regular session meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Gage Watts, seconded by Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Watts, you want to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the advisory board that was established for the Juvenile Justice Committee that will be reporting to the committee as well as to the full body.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Gage Watts.
Yes.
Commissioner Talaferro.
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Yes.
Commissioner Epperson.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries with 11 in support and 1 absent. And that brings us all the way to communiques and committee reports, where you do have, we start out with the administrator report. There is an administrative report attached. And
Okay, good evening, commissioners. I think it's that time of day. We have with us today Mr. Cedric Floyd, and he's our demographer. And as someone said earlier, he did bid on the contract during the RFP and was awarded it. He also appeared before you on May the 20th of 2021 to introduce himself. And today he has a presentation for us, and he'll be working with you along the redistricting lines as things move forward towards that task. So Mr. Floyd comes very highly qualified, 40 years of experience in this area. And without any further ado, I'd like to introduce to you all, reintroduce to you all, Mr. Floyd. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
And thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners, Dr. Wilson, and other elected and appointed officials. With 40 years of providing redistricting, Data Center is the most experienced redistricting company in the state. The 2020 census has been released. The parish of Caddo has a population of 237,849, down from 254,969 with the 2010 census, reflecting a population loss of 17,121, or 6.71%. Consistent with state law, revised statutes 33:1411, the population from the 2020 census has been applied to your 12 commission districts. That is called the benchmark plan, the starting point for redistricting. The benchmark plans, I sent the handout, shows that your redistricting plan has a deviation of 42.09%. The way deviation is calculated is you take the parish population of 237,848 divided into 12, which is how many districts you have. That gives you the ideal district size of 19,821. Next, you subtract the largest district, which is District 9, with 25,046, from the smallest district, which is District 5, 16,703. That gives you 8,343. And you divide 8,343 into your ideal district size of 19,821, and that gives you 42.09%. The goal is to have a 10% deviation, and that's the difference between the largest district and the smallest district of 1,982. And that 10% rule is federal law. As I say, look at your chart that we did. It shows you the deviation of each of your 12 districts. Some use the rule of thumb of plus or minus 5%. So you have 5 districts within that range, which is District 1, District 4, District 7, District 8, and District 11. You have 4 districts below that range, just say below plus or minus 5%, which is District 2, 3, 5, and 6. And you have 3 districts that's larger than the ideal district size, which is District 9, 10, and 12.
And Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting you, sir. Should we be looking at your presentation as you go through this, or there's something separate?
Yeah, I mean, I sent the handout.
Jeff, could you bring it up for the commissioners to see it, please?
Okay. I thought it was already sent.
It was. It's actually attached to the
It's
agenda.
attached to the agenda.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's actually.
That's fine.
But I will go ahead and call it up and put it in front of us, just so for ease of reference, we can take a look at it.
That would be good. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that. Like I said, I sent it to the clerk, and he handles the mechanic. Getting back to what I was saying is that this is the 2020 benchmark plan, and that is applying the 2020 census to your 12 districts that were approved after the 2010 census. Again, you have 5 districts within plus or minus 5%, and that's District 1 with 20,214, which is 393 above the ideal district size. You have District 4 with 19,342, which is about minus 479 below the ideal district size. You have District 7, 19,250, which is 571 below the ideal district size. You have District 8 of 20,369, which is 548 above the ideal district size. And you have District 11 with 20,608, which is 787 above the ideal district size. And you have 4 districts that's below the ideal district size. They are District 2 with 17,841, which is 1,980 below the ideal district size. District 3, 17,725, which is 2,096 below the ideal district size. And you have District 5, 16,703, which is 3,118 below the ideal district size. And you have District 6, 17,357, which is 2,164 below the ideal district size. Now you have 3 districts, 3 districts above ideal district size, which are Districts 9, 10, and 12. District 9 is 25,046, 5,225, which is 26.36 above the ideal district size. You have District 10 of 21,893, 2,072, which is 10.45% above the ideal district size. And you have District 12, 21,200, which is 1,379, or 6.96 above the ideal district size. And the reason why you redistrict, because federal law dictates that after each census, you need to examine your redistricting plan to have it within 10%, because every elected representative must be elected from the same number of people with a 10% deviation. And as I said at the beginning, your plan, this plan, the 2010 plan, after the 2010 census, has a deviation of 42.09%. And that is the reason why you must redistrict, because it's 4 times exceeds the 10% range. Once redistricting has to take place, there are rules or criteria that should be followed. Mr. Clerk, could you put up the proposed criteria, please? Thank you. These are traditional redistricting criteria that should have been used 20 years ago. The first thing we talk about is population equality. Just talked about that. Compliance with the Voting Rights Act. There's no Section 5 since Shelby County in 2013, but you do have Section 2 to comply with. Number 3, each district shall be compact as possible. We are already building on the plan that you approved 10 years ago. Each district shall be contiguous. That's solid in solid shaped district. You could get anywhere in the district without going outside the district. Incumbency shall be considered. You don't have that problem this is one parish in terms of consideration shall be given to natural, geographical, and political boundaries. This is one parish, you don't have that concern. Number 7, consideration shall be given to keep intact communities with established ties of common interest and association, whether historical, racial, economic, ethnic, religious, and others. And number 8, a new apportionment plan must contain whole precincts consistent with revised statute 33:1411C. And consistent with your home rule charter, you must create a new redistricting plan by December 31st of this year. Thank you, Mr. Gordon, but the next up, yes. As a starting point of doing redistricting, Data Center has proposed an ordinance spelling out what the benchmark plan is saying, that you do have a plan with a deviation of 42.09%. It spells out the population of each district, the deviation by number and percentage, and the racial makeup of each district into your ordinance that hopefully that you get a chance to introduce and adopt sometimes in the near future. Okay. Now going forward, Data Center will be available to meet with individual commission members or in groups to begin to review who needs to gain, who needs to lose, and moving forward. We have a redistricting system that we could plug up to your big monitor in your meeting room, or we have a 27-inch monitor and also a projector that we'll bring, and we could ongoing change precincts, blocks, census blocks, so we can move toward doing a redistricting plan. I may be new to some of you, but I've been doing this for 40 years. And 10 years ago, I did the redistricting for DeSoto, Police Jury, Sabine, Natchitoches, prior to the Parish Council, and to Red River. This year, we're doing it in Claiborne, also and throughout the state of Louisiana. Been certified as an expert witness in all federal courts in Louisiana. Like I say, every time I've worked for a jurisdiction, we've had our plan Section 5 pre-cleared, and it has never been any litigation from it. So like I said, I look forward to working with each one of you individually or in groups. We'll bring my computer system to your office complex and be available to work as long as it takes to come up with a plan that's going to be reflective of your parish. Thank you very much. I'm finished. Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
You muted, Dr. Wilson, if you're trying to talk.
Yes, Commissioner Johnson, you want us to entertain any questions at this time, sir, or you want us to just move forward?
If any commissioner has a question, I would like them to go ahead and ask it now, then to wait. I don't see any commissioners at this time. Well, I see Commissioner Chavez.
Thanks, President. Thank you for that report, sir. On the commission districts that are over, are they the ones that are going to have to decrease, or what's your plan of action? If it's below the 10% variance, are we losing or are we gaining? For instance, I'm in District 10. Looking at this report.
Well, I need to look at it and see, because sometimes redistricting is a domino effect in terms of if you have districts adjacent to each other that's all on the top side, there's going to be a domino effect as it moves. So have not looked at exactly moving forward. I wanted to meet with each one of y'all because y'all got elected to the districts as to get your thoughts about it and have enough time to be able to come up with a plan. But first, I wanted to meet with each one of y'all in groups, and you are Caddo Parish. And from there, we'll move toward what needs to happen. But not all the time is so easy that you have a district that needs to gain and district needs to lose right next to each other. Sometimes it's a domino effect that might affect 4 districts or 5 districts just based on how they need to move to get it in compliance.
Okay. And then I also see on the percentage of the ethnicity, there's the white and the black. I know there's about 3 of us Hispanics in District 10. I didn't see them on here. So how do we account for Asians, Hispanics? Do we have another report that shows those minorities?
I will send a report to the clerk to distribute. More than happy to.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thanks, President.
Mr. Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Floyd, for this information. I just was curious, if I wanted to have a session for my district with you, or maybe a community presentation, would you be open to that? And if so, will we get with the clerk or will we get with Dr. Wilson? I guess 1, are you open to doing that? And 2, could you do the presentation? And I guess hopefully our cases will subside at some point, because I do have a very senior population, senior citizen population. So if it's possible to do, we haven't until December 31st. So I guess we do have some time, but I know time is of the essence for you. And so how would we go about doing that? I have no either for you or for Dr. Will, either one.
And Mr. Floyd, you can go ahead and answer that, sir. And
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. I'm open to community meetings, presentations, to go and meet the community and talk about redistricting.
Okay. So would we set it up directly with you, or would you prefer us get with Dr. Wilson? Who would you prefer us to get with to set those up?
You could set that up directly with me.
Okay. Okay. And then I'll set up, I'd like to do a individual session as well. So contact you. I just wanted to make sure we follow the proper channels when we are reaching out to you.
So,
thank you. That's it for me.
Mr. Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Floyd, I appreciate you speaking with us today, and you're being willing to meet with individual commissioners to get all of our input. But to me, it seems the real problem, as you would know better than anybody else on this call, is the kind of fitting the pieces together. And it's like the multi-dynamic components. What is the proposed process for working through those multi-party issues and coming to a final solution?
Well, this is my fifth census doing it. It comes out because the parish is the parish. So at the end of the day, we need to come up with a plan that's going to be 10% within deviation, and also a plan that's going to be reflective of the parish and also comply with the Voting Rights Act. So it was done in 2010. It could easily be done in 2020. I wanted to take the input, and at the end of the day, that we'll move the pieces around. But what I'll have not done at this time, I know I have my company has the capability of providing a redistricting plan that's going to be consistent with state and federal law at the end of the day. But I need to get your input because you're from the parish, but we have the capabilities of doing a redistricting plan that, after all, is going to have to get at least, 7 votes from that, or hopefully all 12.
So you basically, you get this input from either each individual commissioner or group of commissioners, then you go back and work your system, work your computer program, which also takes into account the legal aspects of the issues. And then you come back with a proposal, and there may be some tweaks back and forth to it. And then we eventually get to a plan that everybody can agree to. Is that your process?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Epperson.
Mr. Floyd, I will be contacting you. I'd like to propose my meeting with my constituents relative via teleconference or Zoom, okay?
Okay, thank you.
And Jeff, would you send me the information that you shared on the screen as well as the contact information for Mr. Floyd?
I will. I'll be glad to. And again, if you should want to reference it before I send these out, it is linked on your agenda right now. But I will send it out with his contact information, as well as I think Mr. Floyd mentioned that he was going to send an additional report with maybe some more specific demographics. So if it's okay with the body, I may wait to receive that and then send y'all one email that has both.
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Mr. Floyd, I've been through several of these redistricting over 25 years, and I was looking at those large deviations, both on the plus and the negative side, which tells me that it's going to have to be quite a bit of shifting within these districts. But at the same time, I want to, for those that don't understand how Section 2 and Section 5 affects voting, this redistricting, could you explain that to us?
Well, yes, when it comes down to redistricting, that you have, Black majority districts, and they should not be retrogress if the population dictates that the population is there, meaning that you start off with six Black majority districts in voting age population. I think you have one that's at 51.71. So we'll be mindful of the Voting Rights Act as it pertains to retaining the Black majority districts.
Okay, now that explains Section 5, doesn't it? Going where before it used to go to the Justice Department to verify that. Now it does not. Is that correct?
Correct. As of 2013, shall we be holding? It doesn't go to the Justice Department. As of right now, Congress may pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, but as of right now, I look at. I have never done a plan with over 40 different jurisdictions over 40 years that come close to not adhering to Section 2 and Section 5.
Well, Section 2, kind of give that information on Section 2.
Well, Section 2, I guess I could relate that to my home parish of Jefferson. When in the 80s, you had each governmental body, the parish council, and a school board where you didn't have a Black majority district. So it was found by the court that something could be created that wasn't. So that was considered dilutive when the opportunity is there to create, and it wasn't. So I've been part of, besides working for governmental bodies, I've been a part of 16 Section 2 voting rights lawsuits in the state, statewide, 2 statewide, and other ones locally, where courts came back and say that the opportunity to create, you must do, you can't dilute. So that's the bottom line to that. When you have an opportunity to create, and it's there within the numbers, and you don't do it, and it's shown that it can be done.
And that is what Texas is up against right now, isn't that correct?
Yes, and that's section 2. Section 5 is retrogressive, and the centerpiece of section 5 comes from your neighboring parish, Bossier, when back in Janet Reno had a case after the 90 census that they were pushed to create something that wasn't there, and you can't retrogress. So section 5 is saying that if you found 6 Black majority districts, you must have that, and not to go to 7. That's section 5. You can't retrogress, but it have to be status quo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to get that information out.
Commissioner Johnson, I believe you're muted. I see you trying to speak, but.
Commissioner Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Floyd, thank you for the data that you've provided so eloquently today. We are pleased to work with you in this process. And while I'm confident that we will choose a fair and effective process in determining these redistricting lines, as stated, it's equally important to reflect the diversity of the jurisdiction by allowing voters to select their representatives and not representatives select their voters. Therefore, I'd like to afford you the opportunity to speak with my constituents as well. Personally, I'm looking forward to seeing a community that has been kept together, not cracked or packed. I believe every community should look like it has fair and equitable representation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, Mr. Floyd, again, I appreciate you coming, giving us this report. I too will be looking for some type of presentation for District 2. And staff also would like it to be videotaped so that we can put it out and let citizens that didn't make the meeting also be able to watch it. And I also would like to have a meeting one-on-one to try to see how we can get these districts in line like we need to. District 2 is right there on the edge. It's 9.99. So it needs to have some people added to it, but right there at the border. So I look forward to working with you and appreciate your time and effort today.
Thank you, and I look forward to working with each one of y'all individually or in groups. I'll be at your parish office building as needed, and at the end of the day, we will have a redistricting plan that is reflective of your parish. I guarantee you that. Thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Wilson.
And thank you, Mr. Floyd. A wonderful presentation. I appreciate it as well. Commissioners, moving on, and I'd like to give you a detention report. We have 24 children in detention. 6 are OJJ, and 7 are 17-year-olds. And we have 9 kids now at CCC. And my second point of information for you is the housing assistance program is going along just fine. We have 0 wait. We currently have a balance of $80,000 left in that account to be spent. If we had $1.4 million today, we would be able to issue it out next week. But the state did inform us today that we will be getting some additional funds. To be exact, it's about $16,581,415.13. $15,729,764.93 will be coming from the state reallocation. And also, we'll be getting $851,650.20 from the national reallocation, which makes a total of 16.5 million. Currently, like I said, no wait as we speak. Year to date, we've issued out $32,476 and $4,476,736.33, and we've helped 14,208 families. So basically, that's the ERAP program. You should have also at your well, you should be getting it on electronically, the November 21 expense report. We should have emailed that to you as well. So those are the things we have today, and I'll entertain any questions you may have for me.
Dr. Wilson, do you have COVID number?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you that. We have a total of 16 positive from December 1st to January 3rd. We have 16 employees that were positive for COVID and 4 contacts, bringing a total of 20 employees, and we might have more. It seems with every passing day, Commissioner Johnson, we're getting more people testing positive. So it's really starting to impact our organization throughout all departments. We can see the surges occurring within our ranks.
Okay, Commissioner Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Dr. Wilson, in the reports of COVID from any of the other agencies within the parish, say the DA, the clerk, the judge's offices?
I haven't received those yet, Commissioner Epperson, but I will seek to get that for you by Thursday.
But you did ask them initially though, right?
Yes, sir. We
provide us a report.
We did.
Well, tell them I think that's very callous of them to not provide a basic report like that, because we all working on behalf of the citizens of Caddo Parish, and we have to interact. And I think that knowledge should be made aware to the public, the same as their salaries that they get.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Will do.
Mr. Jackson.
Yes, Dr. Wilson.
Yes, sir.
The Edward Jones Housing Trust Fund Administrator,
Yes,
has
sir.
that contract been signed yet or executed yet?
I
know y'all were working through some.
Yes, sir. I think we had crossed the final loop on that. So let me defer to Attorney Bernstein. He was working that issue for me.
Commissioner, we've gotten the language back from them. It was right before the holidays. And so I anticipate that within the next week or so, we're going to have that signed up.
So
but we've reached an agreement with them with regard to the language.
Okay, great.
We dealt with the issues that we had.
Okay, gotcha. I know Dr. Wilson, you and I and Ms. Bryant had talked, and I appreciate y'all for reaching out and talking through it. I think it was just some understanding and things like that, and you know what can happen when conversations are had. Some understanding can be had when you have a conversation. If you could, does that mean we can have them available for our next regular session? Not Thursday, but the following regular session or work session or whatever.
Commissioner,
go ahead, Henry.
I was going to say, since I'll be touching base with them about getting the contract signed, I'll ask if they can have somebody here for the second meeting.
Okay, yeah,
I know the work session or the regular meeting, Commissioner Jackson.
Oh, y'all call. I don't have necessarily a preference. I just
okay, Henry. Let's endeavor the work session.
Sure.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. I just know we have been wanting to get that done. The other one was will we get an update to the body on the where we are on the disparity study, the body as a whole?
Yes, sir. We'll ask for that as well.
Yeah, we did the call, and the call was informative as a sort of a small group. But if we could, as the body as a whole, just kind of get a status update, not necessarily what's being done or things like that, but maybe just a status update.
Okay.
And then just a reminder, if you could get that information to me about the two roads.
Yes, sir.
4th Street as
Yes,
well
sir.
as 4th Street as well as the road down. I don't even know the name of the road. Is it Florida Lucas or is it Ellaby or what was it?
Actually, it's going to be extension of 3132.
Oh, extension. Okay, extension of 3132.
Yeah, the same path.
Okay, if you could get that comparison, and the request is to also send it to LADOTD, the city of Shreveport specifically, obviously the mayor's office and the CAO, but also Councilwoman Tabitha Taylor. And I believe Kevin is the person at LADOTD that has been having the conversations about the right sizing. But that's my request and response to administration. Thank you. Thank you. Good you. Is London on?
Mr. Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. My question is in response to the items that I submitted for this agenda that were left off. And I don't know who can address this or has the answer to why those items were left off of this agenda.
Commissioner Johnson, did you want to respond?
Well, that item, I saw it on the meeting for tomorrow, and it basically had a discussion. It shouldn't have been a discussion. It should have been an ordinance with dollars attached to it from ARP, which would have made it on this particular agenda.
And the other item for urban support?
That one I didn't see, but
if I recall, and I could be wrong here, and I'm sorry, but I'm just trying to go from memory. If I recall, that was a new item, or was that one that had already been heard by the American Rescue Plan Committee?
It was actually an extension because they've already been allocated dollars. So we approved several additional funding requests today.
that could have been oversight on my part, but I didn't see it. But
And what will be the resolution for this?
well, some commissioners are meeting tomorrow in person. So I guess that would be the resolution for it. Short term. Long term, it could be an agenda addition for Thursday.
Okay.
And if everybody agrees to it that way, that's fine. But there is a meeting scheduled tomorrow with some commissioners in person.
Okay, it'll probably be most feasible for me to do an agenda addition on Thursday. It's just not responsible for us to meet in person at this time. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that in my president report, but
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Burrell, let you finish. You finished, Ms. Gage? I see you muted yourself. Commissioner Burrell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one thing for right now, and that is to Woody. I still have not received my traffic count information from NLCOG. I don't know why they're dragging their feet since they decided to institute another traffic count on 49, on the Intercity 49. Could you follow that up for me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Seeing no one else, I think that's the end of.
What, me, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Okay, Commissioner Evans.
Mr. Chairman, did you state that Ms. Watts's last issue that you spoke about could have possibly been on today's meeting?
I know the one on the the doorbells, because that was part of the ARP, and we're trying to get all those aligned and allocated. That's why all the other ones were on there today. The one on the urban, what was it? Urban
support.
Urban support.
That one is, I think that one was also through ARP, or was it through NGO? I don't remember.
I'm looking at it right now. It looks like 6173 is the number of it. And it's coming from the Riverboat Fund. That is probably why. That is probably the answer, is that it's coming from the Riverboat Fund. And I think when you were reviewing those items for inclusion on today's agenda, you noted those that were coming from the American Rescue Plan Fund, and those that were related to the ERAP program. So there were some categories that you were looking for. I think maybe this one just didn't fall into those categories.
Yeah, that's it, because it was NGO. I didn't look at it, but yeah, that's the reason why, NGO.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Burrell, did you already talk?
Yes, I'm finished, Chair.
All right, Commissioner Jackson.
Are we under communicators, or are we still under administrator?
I was trying to make sure we get everybody who had questions for the administrator. So that's everyone. All right, next item will be communicate. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, Happy New Year to everybody. Hope everybody has had a safe and good holiday season. I would like to request, I know by the time the ordinance for the E. Edward Jones Housing Trust Fund comes up for final adoption, we will have elected or selected a new commission president at that time. But I would like to request that whatever committee is responsible for it, we would go ahead and so I guess my question is to Commissioner Chavez. I guess I would assume that would be the Long Range Planning Committee. Because the other thing with the E. Edward Jones Housing Trust Fund is there is no specific committee that is set up for that. And so I would assume that it would be Long Range Planning Committee for questions about planning and things like that. So those questions that we've had for staff, again, I just want to reiterate that that ordinance is not doing anything. I just heard Commissioner Gates-Watts ask about some funding that was coming from the American Rescue Plan. The dollars were appropriated and allocated. So it wouldn't be doing anything different. But if there are questions about processes that need to take place, now that those dollars have been transferred from ARP to the E. Edward Jones, I would assume that that would be Long Range Planning Committee, where we would need to have to flesh out those details. And so I'm asking the chairman if he would call the that committee together, or whomever is appointed the new would convene that meeting so that we can get staff to provide any details or whatever. So don't want that to be an issue. We have 2 weeks to final passage. So I do want to make sure that we do have an opportunity to have that conversation and it not be a reason why people will say something. I also, Dr. Wilson, on that 4th Street comparison, if you could also include a traffic count as well. I think they do like sort of hypothetical traffic counts for new roads. And then if we could do an additional traffic count for, if you can include the additional traffic count for 4th Street as well. And that would be a request to go also to go with that. We do need to be mindful that the COVID-19 pandemic is still real. The cases that we're seeing now, I'm still of the belief that COVID-19 never went anywhere. Folks just simply stopped getting tested. And when you have a critical mass, I saw some graphic today which said Louisiana shattered its COVID-19 numbers. the reality is that that was going to happen regardless. When you have a critical mass of people start to fluctuate toward testing. And so that is going to happen. COVID never went anywhere. We're now dealing with the new variant. And we need to be serious about what we're doing and how intentional we are, particularly what we're talking about masking and making sure that we are encouraging people to get their vaccine as well as boosters. We have an obligation as leaders to make sure that we are educating the public the right way about the importance of the vaccines and not necessarily letting fear and misinformation drive the conversation. We have an impeccable healthcare community here, and it's a disservice to those folks in the healthcare community to just have such rampant misinformation about the vaccine. So hopefully we will continue as leaders in our respective areas to talk about the importance of getting folks vaccinated. We have resources available to encourage vaccinations, and so we all need to get to work to do those things. That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'd like to ask that you please, given that the majority of the commission would like to see the toll road issue go to a committee, I'd like to ask that you go ahead and assign that to the appropriate committee so that we can get that moving forward.
That would also go long range.
I assume so. And when
Mario,
and
your plate stacking up.
I will interject just on Commissioner Chavez's behalf. He is planning a long-range committee meeting for this Friday. I'd already gotten an email from him with some initial agenda items, and looks like during the meeting he made a note that he thought this one might be appropriate for that committee as well. So it's likely that it would be on the Friday agenda. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just saw you. Thought I'd go ahead and answer for you. It looks like he's already thinking that might happen.
Okay.
What I'd like to see, President, is Thursday as well. If we could do a meeting, if Dr. Wilson has the road comparison put together, we can meet Thursday before the legislative session, and then we can get that passed. So I'd like to, Dr. Wilson, if you still had an email I sent you about 2 hours ago, I'd like to see if you can get that done before Thursdays. That way Jeff can call a long-range planning meeting Thursday morning or Thursday before our work session or our legislative session.
Yes, sir. I'll huddle up with staff in the morning and see what we can get going on that. Because it's still, I have to get legal to weigh in on that as well.
Okay, thanks, team.
Okay.
Thank you, President.
All right, is that it, Commissioner Atkins?
yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no other commissioners. Next item.
Okay, the next item is going to be the president's report.
This short and sweet.
So on the way there, I'm sorry, I skipped over the, I did just have a clerk's note I wanted to point out real quick, if that's all right.
Go ahead.
It was mentioned earlier, but it's just a reminder to everybody that the commission is going to select the 2022 officers during your regular session on January 6th.
Okay.
Want a clarification on that? Or can I ask a question on that?
What was that? I can't hear you.
Can I ask a question on that? Is that going to be in person or is that going to be online? Because I know our bylaws have some specificity. I'm sorry, I know our bylaws have some specificity about where and how we should vote on officers. So what's the plan for that?
We're going to decide that tomorrow.
Okay.
Next item, Jeff.
That brings us to president's report.
Okay. 2021 has been a trying year, especially with the resurgence of different COVID variances. We've worked through a lot of those. We met in person, we met by Zoom. Today we're meeting by Zoom only because basically the commission office has been impacted the government plaza has been impacted by COVID. And so I'm looking to make sure that individuals like us coming in are not impacted by the general public coming to the meetings, people that we're not in close proximity to on a day-to-day basis. I know today some of you selected to come to a meeting tomorrow, but our numbers are still going up every day with the state. Like I said, Commissioner Jackson said, we shattered the number on positive results today. I think the state was at 42,000 positive cases today. And until we can basically get that leveled out or on the trend coming down, the governor is also, and if you looked at his last meeting, which was on Friday, it was done by Zoom. Everybody was in a different location and it was done by Zoom. It wasn't done in any office in the state building or the governor's mansion. He basically wasn't even at the mansion. He was at his own personal home. So this variant is very contagious. If you've been vaccinated, studies have shown that you're not impacted as much as when there wasn't a vaccination and people were getting critically ill and some were dying. We're still having people die now, but a lot of those are linked to people who wasn't vaccinated. And I know that everybody that works in the parish of Caddo on the commission is not 100% vaccinated. And so why put people at home when we don't really have to, and we can still conduct the business of the parish and get things done? That was the choice for meeting today by Zoom. It wasn't to take things off the agenda or postpone certain ordinances. It was basically to make sure that we kept people safe. And like Dr. Wilson said in his report, every department in the parish on the commission has been impacted by this new variant. And so, even with that, you still don't know because everybody hasn't been tested, because you can walk around asymptomatic. The mayor showed that last month when he just went to go get tested because after the Independence Bowl. We got to be more vigilant about how we do things and how the public perceives of what we're doing. I mean, it was just as easy to tell all your constituents where we're meeting by Zoom for safety reasons. And that was the reason why we met by Zoom today, was for safety reasons. No commissioner is lobbied up with another commissioner in the same office or at the same location. Everybody's in their own location that they want to be in, that they feel safe to be in. And that was the reason why we did this meeting today by Zoom. We will look at the bylaws, see if the election of officers has to be in person or not. And if so, then we might have to maneuver something to say we'll do election in public, and then after we do that, we can go to Zoom. I don't know, but we just need to look and see what the criteria is. I'm not for putting anybody in home. You taking what you think is nothing home to your family, and somebody in your family might not be vaccinated, or somebody will have a different set of symptoms. And so that's the reason why I do what I do, is to protect all of us. We can still get the business done at the parish. We have ways for public to do their comments, and things that we're meeting about tomorrow, or that you guys are meeting about tomorrow, there's no deadline on. I mean, one object is we passed back in July, and there's no deadline on it. If we don't put anything on the agenda, there's no movement. So I understand the process of saying you put something in place, but it's really not going anywhere because it won't move until February. So why not go ahead and do it through our next meeting or when we meet in person? But that's the choice that you guys made, and majority rule on that. That's all I have. And thank you for allowing me this opportunity to serve as commission president again. It's been challenging at times, and it's my last go round, last term. That's all I have. Jeff?
Thank you. And thank you for being flexible. I know it has been an unusual year, but we made it through and got a lot done. Citizens' comments, late arrivals is next on our agenda. These again are teleconference. So just as a reminder, that phone number is 318-226-6596, 318-226-6596 is the number that somebody can call if they'd like to make a public comment at this point. Otherwise, we have not, to my knowledge, received any electronic public comments during the meeting. But Linda, do you have any callers on the line?
None have come through yet.
Okay. Do you want to give it a few minutes or move along?
Move along. Next item.
Next item is going to be our consent agenda. Oh, it looks like we do
Move
have
for
a call.
adjournment.
It looks like we do have a call coming in. If y'all want to wait.
I'll take the one caller.
Okay. And we don't know if it's necessarily a public comment, but I hate to hang up if they called in right when we asked callers. So
all right, we'll take the one comment, and after that one comment, we'll adjourn.
that sounds great. Linda, can you connect the caller?
Mr. Lester?
Yes, ma'am.
Alrighty, please go ahead with your comment. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. And I'll be brief. I appreciate the commission for giving us an opportunity to speak. And I appreciate the commission giving us an opportunity to be supported. I think the only comment I want to make is the comment I made in the chat. Our understanding was that once the meeting was adjourned back then, when there was a vote on the Recovery Act money, that we were going to get a commitment letter, and that commitment letter would be followed by a further discussion. And after that further discussion, we would commemorate our arrangement with the parish in a cooperative endeavor agreement. Those groups that supported doing housing just felt like we should be treated the same way. Other folks got commitment letters. They were given an opportunity to sit down and meet with parish officials to reduce to a writing cooperative endeavor agreement. We understood that there was no, we were not going to fill out an application and submit a proposal and expect a check. No one expected that. We all understand that we're processed. I just thought was that our process will be the same as everyone else. It just felt like those of us that were doing affordable housing and receiving funds and support, and we do appreciate the parish for the support, because as you discussed in this meeting, affordable housing is very much needed. Revitalization in our communities is very much needed, particularly given those areas that have lost population. I would argue that a lot of those populations have seen systemic disinvestment. And so our collective efforts to repopulate those areas, we think are on point. But again, our thought was that we were going to get a commitment letter that would have been followed up with a discussion and followed up with a cooperative endeavor agreement, just like everybody else would have, or apparently everyone else but us who was supported with funding at that meeting got, and we didn't. And we just didn't understand why we were being treated differently. But we appreciate the parish support. We don't want anyone to think that we're ungrateful, because we understand that you have choices to make, but we just believe that that our situation is the same and that we should have gotten that same support. And we thank you for your commitment to us, and we thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. There's no other public comments. I will entertain a motion to adjourn from Commissioner Epperson that we got before the call came in.
Second.